Hi, Cancer rising sign. Here is your weekly forecast starting on the 16th of March until the 23rd of March. So, this is a very special week due to the fact that we have got two passes happening on your north node by Mercury. One at the beginning of the week, and the other one is going to be at the end of the week. On one hand, it feels very personal. And the fact that you are ruled by the moon and Jupiter is near to your rising sign and a lot of activations happening in your first house, it really feels like that you are going to be very sensitive to the shifts happening around you. But I would say that you should be the golden child of the zodiac right now. So you might get this fated message from the universe or about a travel opportunity, or you just gain more wisdom, or you're rewiring your belief system. But this would be an indication of a lot of self-improvement. I think this is a week for you for expansion. With Jupiter sitting in your first house, the house of self, I think it tries to give you that personal glow that you need. But the universe is asking you to take that inner light and start showing that to the world. And that's the ninth house activation. There is this fated redirection in your ninth house, the house of learning, and there is a great reset happening at the top of your chart as well. The 10th house, the house of career. So this is about you moving from being the one who nurtures all the time, and then you're gonna become this leader. So two passes happening on that north node by Mercury. And, I can imagine that, well, you need to think back to mid-February. Like, did you have a conversation about going back to school, moving abroad, publishing your work, start a teaching project? Because this 17th could be, for example, where it comes back to you, but maybe with a bit of a twist. Maybe you receive a document or a piece of advice that changes your entire perspective over, let's say, relocating or teaching or all those ninth house subjects. And this isn't just, let's say, you receiving an email. This is about kind of like a new piece of truth comes to you, the redirection of your truth. You're being asked to let go of an old belief system that has kept you playing maybe too small. So expect some aha moments. And I think the sun in your ninth house making it sextile to Uranus. And on top of that, the Venus and Jupiter square happening on the same day as well. It really feels like that you have got that professional spark happening right now. You are going towards visibility. Potentially, you share an insight or a project with your community, something that goes viral or something that gets an unexpected attention from a group of people, a friend of yours, and then maybe you get the support that you need, building certain type of genuine connections as well with others, which might be able to open the doors that you didn't even know existed before, actually. You have to be watching out for ego trap though, because Venus is in your career house, squaring your Jupiter in your first. We can feel so confident. You might overpromise what you can deliver to a boss or a client. So let's just be careful about that. And I think the most profound shifts for you is Isis, Apollo, and Eros. All of them are entering your first house. So you're restoring of your entire self. Apollo shines a light on your true character, and Isis helps you to reassemble your identity. Maybe after a period of time feeling scattered or not brave enough or not knowing what you want. And then you can start feeling like whole again. And people can start seeing the real you. And with that Eros moving into your first house, which is about passion, I think it's vitality. It's about you being passionate about your life again. Maybe you change your look to reflect this little inner flame, or you go for a bolder style or a new way of carrying yourself. So something positive is happening in your life right now, and that could give you that personal glow. And this is something that you shouldn't be doing for others. You are doing it because you're finally in love with the person you are becoming. So, and when you do that, it gives you that magnetic energy, and then you're gonna start drawing people closer to you. I also love the Jupiter and Mars trine happening this week as well. And it's like a triumph, basically. Let's launch a website. Let's take a big trip. Let's stand up for what we believe. This is something that if you do so, it should be giving you a certain type of a luck. And it's a luck that you don't have to push, but you have to reach out for it. So this is good for profit, recognition, personal wins, to make a move that reflects your highest truth. And then the sun moves into your career house, and that's a career reset for you. It's a turning point for your public life. This is potentially you going after your dream, your career dream, and then I'm going to be more disciplined about it. I'm going to be an authority figure. I'm going to run the show. I'm going to be in the driving seat of my life. So you might be offered a leadership role, or you decide to start your own company. But it only works if it's less of a maybe and more of an I am doing it. It is about you anchoring your professional vision into a concrete structure. This is not just about working on something, but going towards your legacy. And of course, the final pass of Mercury on your North Node happens actually on the same day when Juno and Uranus making a trine as well. So the news that you received around the 17th, it can become solid. It could become an agreement, especially with Juno in your seventh house, which is the house of agreements anyway. So it might be signing a legal contract, or we get committed to this business partnership, or potentially, a deal that can feel liberating because it might be connecting you to a wider community. Somehow the path is getting clearer for you this week. And I think people are somehow on your side. I think you have been living in your inner womb for the last 4 months, and this chart only works out for you when you're gonna put yourself on a stage, on a public stage. Yes, the last 4 months you had to be repairing your self-image. You have to be claiming your authority. You have to be trusting that you can become a leader. Hopefully you have done that because then this week can give you a cosmic push towards that dream. So, I hope this makes sense. I definitely recommend listening to the general forecast because I'm giving you the sensitive degrees there. I'm giving you extra information that, of course, you can put into your own chart. The first house activations are all about pampering yourself. Sometimes, at the beginning of the week, especially, you might not have the kind of like the motivation to get out of bed because you want to be pampering yourself. You want to go for a massage and all those type of stuff. But most likely, Jupiter and Mars trine will get you out of the bed. Maybe a little bit of a self-centeredness are possible with the heavy first house activations. Maybe we want to be spending a little bit more time alone than usual. Maybe the danger here is that, like if we are a bit on the lazier side, then basically, let's say if you're on diet, then this week might not be your greatest week. Because especially with Jupiter and Venus square, we can have a lot more desire than we can actually, like, it's an increased sense of pleasure. We want to be having a bit more luxury and so forth. So maybe that's something to be a little bit more aware of. Especially the money can be burning in our pocket as well. We can create some more addictive tendencies towards food, sweets, especially if we are a little bit more on the depressed side. Let's use the Mars and Jupiter trine to sort something out in your life, potentially in your personal sphere, but that's the aspect of courage. So that's when you're gonna have to have these bigger conversations with others. Maybe these are financial conversations with the Sun and Saturn new cycle that is about to be starting. So good luck, Cancer, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.